There's that period in the life of every great company where you're kind of in the wilderness, right? And you had your founders, your co-founders rather, and you had a couple of conversations going. You have better stuff happening with customers than you did with investors, and there was a point though where things began to change. Was it when you raised your seed round?
Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, it's one of those things. I think the timing coincided, but I also think the recognition of institutional capital was huge for the customer accounts we were working on, and being able and getting in front of other investors. It's kind of a badge that says, okay, well you were good enough to get here. We should probably look at you further.
Yeah, and so I was in one of those conversations. I certainly wasn't the only one, and I was watching James execute. He was going out there, he was getting product installed, he was bringing home purchase orders, and I knew that he was a prime mover in terms of this company. I didn't see enough else there to really even call it a company. It was a guy with a great product and some co-founders. And one of the toughest conversations we ever had was really around the subject of leadership, because I knew that if we were going to do this storage deal in New Jersey that nobody in the venture community had ever heard of, that people were dismissing out of hand on Sand Hill Road, I knew that if we were going to do this deal, we needed some kind of protection. We needed an insider from the storage industry to help us get this through, because James, for all his standing today, the irony of it is that at the time, nobody in the storage industry knew who he was, and the storage industry is a pretty insular place. And so we started trying to identify talented executives in the New Jersey area who could potentially help the company, partner with the company, be advisors to the company, or potentially even be new leadership for the company. And I had to say to James, I said, what you're doing is great, but you're not financeable in the eyes of the market.
I remember it very clearly, and it was one of those things that I actually discussed with one of my best friends, Jason Swingle. We went on a rare trip away. I was away from the desk for about 48 hours. And you told me on a Thursday or Friday. I got in my car, we drove the Blue Ridge Parkway, Skyline Drive, hung out for a while, and we ended up talking it over, and I realized as I was going through my emotional attachment to what we had created, I realized that it's not going to go anywhere without institutional investment. We can't bring the idea to fruition, and we're ahead of the curve now. But if I attempt to try to bootstrap this on my own without institutional financing, the incumbents will be all over us, or another startup will grab the 90% of the pie before we get anywhere near the finish line.